Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is me again. Who would have thought? Excuse the wintry get up. It's very cold outside, even though it looks very warm. But it's just too nice not to film outside. Whenever I can do that, I do. Because it's just, there's nothing like it. It may not have been the best idea to start this video outside because I did not bring any of the books I'm planning to read. But I thought, why not? I can just talk to you about them and show them to you later. But yeah, so if you're new, I have started this whole project of reading Ishiguro. And in the last video, I read The Unconsoled and An Artist of the Floating World. And so in this video, I thought I would start. Willow's near the camera, so if you're shaking, I'm very sorry about that. Just ignore it. Willow, can you come here? Come here, come here. So, if you're new, I have this whole project going currently where I'm trying to make my way through Ishiguro's backlist. I read The Unconsoled and An Artist of the Floating World in the last video, and so it's literally a day later. I decided I really want to start the next one because I'm just the kind of person who likes to spend a lot of time in an author's world, just the way they write, and I like to really delve deeply into those things, and you can only really do that very well if you read the books back to back. So I decided today I want to start another one. I'm gonna go back home soon, and then I'll literally start the next book right away. As for which books I want to read this video, I kept thinking about it, and because The Unconsoled was quite a big book, I think I feel the need for a little palate cleanser, a little shorter one maybe. And so I decided I want to read A Pale View of Hills next. All I know about this story is that it's about a woman whose daughter has recently passed and who is in mourning, I'm pretty sure, and who also keeps remembering this summer from her past. I don't have any idea how those things are interconnected. I really stay away from spoilers when it comes to books. So, yeah, we're gonna go into this. It's a very short book. I hope it's not gonna be too sad because I don't really feel like reading a heartbreaking story right now. But yeah, we'll see how Ishiguro does this, and I'll update you once I pick that one up. Before I leave you, I do quickly want to talk about which books I want to read after A Pale View of Hills, because I did already plan that, because I have ended up sort of making a TBR for myself in terms of the order I want to read these books in. So afterwards, I'm gonna pick up Never Let Me Go. This book is the one I'm the most scared of the ones of Ishiguro, because I fear it'll break my heart. Because that's the book I know Ishiguro from. I know that everyone I've seen read it is heartbroken by it. And yeah, I'm kind of scared of that because I do tend to be very susceptible to being very, very sad after sad books. But we'll see. Maybe maybe I won't be. Maybe I won't like the book. Who knows? But yeah, so I thought I won't procrastinate on that one because I just want to know. I just want to have clarity. So that'll be the next one. And then I also want to read Klara and the Sun in this video, who I don't know anything about. That's maybe one of the books I know the least about. Never Let Me Go. I know it's sad, but I don't know anything about the plot. Klara and the Sun, I don't even know if it's sad. I just know it's a book and I know it's quite popular. I am very sorry if you keep hearing a certain barking sound. My dogs are right there. They're off screen, but they keep barking at the birds. I hope my microphone doesn't pick it up too much. I'll keep walking a bit through the woods because it's just so nice out today, even though it's really, really cold. And we'll see each other again whenever I pick up that book. Oh, also, before I leave, sorry, I just keep thinking of things to talk about. I think in this video my bookshelves will finally be here because I thought I'd managed to put them up last video, but they just never arrived in time. So they should be here either today or tomorrow, which will be so exciting. I'm looking forward to finally having some proper bookshelves, some proper space, some space to decorate around my books. And yeah, so there'll be some bookshelf content in this video finally. This time it's really gonna be true, hopefully. And yeah, that's it. Willow's here now. Willow, you wanna say hi? You wanna come here? You wanna come here and say hi? Wait, I have to lift you. Oi. Is the Willef? Hallo Willef. Oi, oi, oi. You have some dirt on your face. What did you do? What were you doing? Okay, she wants to leave again. So yeah, okay, that's my cue. I have to leave now. So bye-bye. We'll see each other soon.
I just wanna go out and walk with you. Baby, you know I just like to talk with you. You don't have to tell me anything that's new. I just wanna go out and walk with you. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine, sailing on the pavement with our two lines. I like to see the shape you're in from time to time. I just wanna see your shadow next to mine. I just wanna see the same things you can see, understand the meaning on a new degree. Maybe that could happen when you're next to me. I just wanna see the same things you can see.
everybody. It's the next day and I finished A Pale View of Hills. First of all, for the basic premise, because now I have an idea of what it's actually about. We start out following this woman who lives in the British countryside and she's being visited by her daughter, by her youngest daughter. And we find out that her eldest daughter, she had two, recently passed away. She killed herself. And while her youngest daughter visits her, she starts to remember this one particular summer from her past. Specifically, this one friend she made during that summer and what happened surrounding that friendship. Also, these memories happen in Japan because that's where she was living at the time. It's not the most eventful story in terms of plot. It's this very interesting mixture of a quiet but really disturbing story. The themes of this story are tragic and you witness the characters going through these really sad things. But Ishiguro doesn't linger on the emotion. The emotion happens off page. We just move on from these situations without extensively commenting on them. Overall, this book isn't for everyone. I'd say you have to like quiet books and books that are really just a slice of someone's life with tragedy happening everywhere, but sort of also just not being delved into too deeply. I really like this book and I think a lot of people can enjoy this. You just have to really know the kind of reader you are and the kind of books you like. It might actually be the one I enjoyed reading the most of the ones of Ishiguro I've read so far. Also, before I leave you, I thought I'd read you a quote I really liked. It's about the main character talking about the image she has in her mind of her daughter directly after she died, and the fact that that image has sort of haunted her. She says about that, "The horror of that image has never diminished, but it has long ceased to be a morbid matter. As with a wound on one's own body, it is possible to develop an intimacy with the most disturbing of things." And with that, I'll leave you and I'll go live some life. And afterwards, I'll pick up Never Let Me Go. Wish me luck because I am very intimidated by that one. We'll see how often I update you. And then, yeah, until very soon. Bye-bye. I finished Never Let Me Go. I read the whole thing in a day because I just could not put it down. I had to know what was gonna happen next. I wanted to finish it because I could just tell exactly where the story was going and I needed it to be over. And my goodness, now I understand why people say that you should not know anything about this story going into it, because I'm so glad I had no idea what this one was about. And that's why I won't tell you anything about it other than what happens in the first few pages. We follow Kathy, who is our main character. She's a woman in her 30s and she is basically telling us her life story. Yeah, that's it. I can't tell you anything more. After this book, I felt like it was so strange that the world is just the same now, but I just feel different. This book is devastating, and in a way I was expecting that because of the way people talk about it. I know the feeling of really crying after a book. If anyone's interested, the book that has made me cry the absolute most is Heaven Official's Blessing. That's my favorite book of all time. It's 8 books, but I consider it a collective work. But that made me cry in a really nice way, in the kind of way that has made me reread this story, I think 5 or 6 times. And I love this story, and I love the way it makes me cry. And it makes me cry every time I read it, no matter how often I do. Also, The Lord of the Rings, that one also made me cry in a bit of a sadder way than Heaven Official's Blessing, but still in a way where I really want to reread that story very soon. Never Let Me Go is a book I will never want to reread again because I cannot go through this again. The way it made me cry is different from the way those other two made me cry. I sobbed for all of them, but for very different reasons. So I feel very strange now because obviously this is a book that did something to me. And that is sort of the whole beauty of literature. The fact that books, literal words on paper, can create a world that moves you to the extent that this book moved me is such a form of art, because that's not easy to do. And it goes to show how brilliant Ishiguro is. This book really cemented him as an author I will want to read everything from. But it's also the most difficult book I've ever had to read because to me it's the most real book. Because it's the kind of story that will make you feel disillusioned with the world you're living in. And those are emotions that I don't like to be reminded of having. Normally, I go to literature as a way of escaping my own head, and there's times where sad literature is the exact right thing, but not this kind. I'm very glad I have now read it, because I'll never have to read it again, but it can live in my head now, and now I have to sort of live with that fact. Can I recommend this story? Yes, I can, because I think it's the kind of story that's very important to read, because I think although it's very easy to just want to escape daily life and escape humanity, it's very important to face the potential we all have for cruelty. So you read this story and you think, how could this ever happen? But then you realize it's the most realistic portrayal of humanity I've maybe ever read. That was Never Let Me Go. And now I'm gonna have to pick up the pieces this book left me in, and I'm gonna start reading Klara and the Sun. But I think I will take a break. I think today I'll just take a break from reading, maybe watch some TV. I've been rewatching Detective Conan. I just finished the entire series and now I'm starting it over again because I don't want to leave the story behind just yet. And it's just become such a comfort. So maybe I'll just do that. I'll make a tea. I'll take a good, nice dog walk. And then tomorrow, I'll pick up Klara and the Sun. And we'll see what I think of that one. See you! Good morning, good evening, and good night. We're here for the final portion of the video. I don't know if you can see, but there's Vilef right here. The Vilef. Yes, the Vilef. I read Klara and the Sun over the last 2 days, I think. And during reading it, I was contemplating if I wanted to update you during it or just wait to talk to you about it when I'd finished it. And I decided to wait because, again, it's the kind of story I don't think you can talk about too much. I really liked it. It wasn't as sad as I was expecting, which I'm very, very glad about. Let's just say that, because after the banger that was Never Let Me Go, I needed some space from emotions. Without giving any spoilers, we follow Klara. She's our main character and she's an artificial intelligence. She's called an artificial friend, and these artificial friends are programmed to be the assistants and companions of children and teenagers, because we live in a world where things are different. This is basically how I imagine the world could be in a few decades. Because this story is about AI, I was sort of hesitant because I tend not to like stories that are too much about the modern world. I tend to stay away from dystopian literature. I tend to not really enjoy literature with technology in it in general. I like my literature to be historic. That's why I like classics so much, because I love history and I love the feeling of escaping into a different time. I ended up really liking the story, and it really surprised me because Klara, although she's an artificial intelligence, is so human and she's so kind. The back of the book describes Klara as an unforgettable narrator, and I completely agree. I think she is so adorable. Fundamentally, the book deals with the question of love and what love looks like. It is a very impactful portrayal of the changes of our world and how unreliable humans are, especially from the point of view of an artificial intelligence who doesn't experience the same sort of life cycle as a human does. I like how quiet it is and I like how understated it is. Now that I've read 5 Ishiguros, I can say that that is something he does so well in all of his books. He deals with impactful and often sad and tragic themes, but in a way that doesn't feel too much or too heavy or too sad to read. Never Let Me Go accepted. That book is the exception for any rule. Overall, I really recommend it. I think it's a very modern book and a very well done portrayal of a part of humanity that will become more and more prevalent, and it highlights a very unique perspective on change and love, humanity and life. A very simple but very philosophic book, a book that can really make you think. All in all, I can now say I've read these 3 books. These were 3 very special books. Guys, can you let me What? Okay, we're gonna work around this little chaotic bunch I have going on here. This video is definitely where I discovered my love for Ishiguro, because in the previous video I read The Unconsoled and An Artist of the Floating World, which were 2 books I really liked, but they didn't hit me in any way that was special. But these 3, particularly Never Let Me Go, they moved me in a way that I look for in literature. The fact that none of his stories are the same is incredibly surprising. I really admire that in an author. To be able to create all of these very different but very impactful stories. I still have 2 more books of his on my shelf, which are When We Were Orphans and The Remains of the Day. Those I'm gonna read next. As for these ones, I'm very glad I read them. I really liked them all. If I had to rank them, I think it would go A Pale View of Hills, then Klara and the Sun, and then Never Let Me Go. It's, of all of his works, the most important one to read, because I think it's the one that shows you humanity the most accurately. I do need some more time to digest it, but I think it's going to be among my favorite books of all time, or my most special books. I have this list I keep of my soul books, I call them. Books that changed me in a way, or books that I keep thinking about. Most of those books are books I reread that I can quote off the top of my head. Never Let Me Go won't be a book I reread, I think, but I think the things it did to me qualify it as a soul book because it changed me. That sounds so dramatic to say. Overall, it was a very successful week of reading. I read all of these really quickly and I found them all very engaging. I didn't want to put any of them down. I'm really looking forward to the next books I'm gonna read of Ishiguro's. And that is it. Also, my bookshelves, they're here. I've built them, I've organized them, and I am so happy with them. I love the fact that I can now display all of these books without having to stack them on top of each other. I am very, very content. With that being said, it's time to say goodbye, don't you think, Blappy? Yes, yes, it is. Okay, so we're gonna go now. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we will see each other again very soon. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.